wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46, 3, and 4, I have received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the National Assembly of the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 9 of 2023. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders 41 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 9 of 2023, was published via Kenya Gazette Supplement number 32 of 20th March 2023 to provide for the equitable division of revenue raised nationally among the national government and county levels of government for the 2023-2024 financial year as required by Article 218 of the Constitution. And whereas the National Assembly considered the said bill and passed it on Tuesday, 21st March 2023 without amendments in the form attached hereto, now therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution and Standing Orders 41 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the bill to the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order number 163, which requires that a bill which originates in the National Assembly be proceeded with by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by way of first reading in accordance with Standing Order number 144, the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 9 of 2023 is listed in today's order paper, and at the appropriate time, I shall call upon the clerk to read the said bill a first time. I thank you, Honorable Senators. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
The Honorable Chirange. That will be deferred. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
The Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Thursday, the 23rd of March, 2023. 1. Performance Audit Report of the Auditor General on implementation of the Kenya Town Sustainable Water Supply and Sanitation Program. 2. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Meru Staff, Car Loan and Housing Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2020. 3. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Executive of Isiolo for the year ended 30th June 2022. 4. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Assembly of Isiolo for the year ended 30th June 2022. 5. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Executive of Uasin Gishu for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General. 6. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Assembly of Uasin Gishu for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Municipality of Muranga for the year ended 30th June 2022. 8. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Kahuti Water and Sanitation Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2022. 9th. Report of the Auditor General for the financial statement of the Fort Beverages Industries Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2022. 10th. Report of the Auditor General of the financial statement of the Gatamathi Water and Sanitation Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2022. 11. Report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the Muranga South Water and Sanitation Company for the year ended 30th June 2022. 12. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Kwale Members and Staff Loan Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kwale County Emergency Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kwale County Youth, Women and Persons with Disability, a revolving fund for the year ended 30th June 2022, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kwale County Bursary Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 19, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kwale County Trade Revolving Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 17th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kwale Municipality for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General of the financial statement of the County Executive of Marsabit for the year ended 30th June 2022. 19th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Marsabit for the year ended 30th June 2022. 20th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Marsabit County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 21, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Government of Marsabit Mortgage Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Government of Marsabit County Revenue Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 23, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Government of Marsabit Car Loan Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 24th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Marsabit County Education Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 25th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Marsabit County Emergency Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 26th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Nyandarua County Emergency Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 27th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Olkalau Water and Sanitation Company for the year ended 30th June 2022. 28th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Nyandarua County Civil Servants Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme for the Mortgage Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 29th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Executive of Laikipia for the year ended 30th June 2022. 30th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Assembly of Laikipia for the year ended 30th June 2022. 31st, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Laikipia County Development Authority for the year ended 30th June 2022. 32, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement for the Laikipia County Assembly Cooperative Development Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 33, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement for the Othaya Mukurweini Water Services Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2022. 34th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Narumoru Water and Sanitation Company for the year ended 30th June 2022. 35, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Executive of Samburu for the year ended 30th June 2022. 36th, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Samburu for the year ended 30th June 2022. Last but not least, report of the Auditor General of the financial statement of the Samburu County Community Conservancies Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
The chairperson, JLAC. Or a member of the committee can proceed to lay the paper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, being Thursday, 23rd March 2023, a report of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights on its consideration of the preservation of human dignity and enforcement of economic and social rights bill, Senate Bill number 7 of 2022. Thank you.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, statements.
The Honorable Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Sorry, I will do that on her behalf, Mr. Speaker. This is a statement on credibility of a cause offered to Kenyan immigrant workers by the National Industrial Training Authority, NITA. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education on the credibility of a cause offered to Kenyan immigrant workers by the National Industrial Training Authority. In the statement, the committee should state whether the curriculum offered by NITA to Kenyan immigrants working in the Middle East is recognized by the Ministry of Education. 2, state the cost and duration of the course. And the last, list all colleagues or all colleges or institutions that NITA has accredited to offer the same curriculum and state the standards required of such institutions. This is a statement by Senator Tabitha Mutinda. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Osotsi, I see you on the dashboard.
For my statement?
Not for your statement.
Yes.
If
For
it's
comment?
no, not for your statement. If it's for your statement, you don't need to log on the dashboard. I'll call you because I followed the sequence just given in the order paper.
Okay.
But if you want to, absolutely, proceed, Senator.
Mr. Speaker, I think we must thank Senator Mutinda for this statement because training of immigrants is very important. Mr. Speaker, we have had a lot of problems with the Kenyans who travel to Saudi Arabia and Middle East looking for opportunities. Some of them have died in mysterious circumstances. Others have been arrested, locked in. So we have had so many problems, and I'm sure in this House we have had so many statements relating to the issue of immigrants who have gone to Middle East. So, and one of the reasons why they get into trouble, Mr. Speaker, is the training. The training that is offered to these people is inadequate, and sometimes there is no training at all, Mr. Speaker. They just process papers, and then they put them on a flight, and there they are. They start working. So this is a very important statement, and I want to ask the relevant committee, which is the Committee of Labor, to give it a lot of focus and a lot of consideration so that the licensed institutions that conduct these processes, the agencies, together with the National Industrial Training Authority, they need to stick to the regulations, especially on matters to do with the training. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this statement, and I would want to recommend that this statement be given priority and possibly a report presented to this House for our consideration, because the matter of Kenyans suffering and dying in Middle East is a serious challenge that affects many, many, many Kenyans, and I'm sure members in this House have had to deal with this problem before. So, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Cheriot.
Mr. Speaker, a few months ago, you chaired a meeting when we had training for Senate leadership, together with, I think, chairpersons of committees in the UAE. And we took time to listen to Kenyans who work there, who presented us with very concrete proposals on what they think as a country we can do to take advantage of a labor market that exists in that region. And bearing in mind, Mr. Speaker, that because of language and our education system, we are perhaps the most competitive country on the continent, and we compete with the very best on the globe, Mr. Speaker, including countries like Philippines, which supply labor to the Middle East in the millions. But they pointed out to us a key ingredient that separates us and those that are able to send citizens to go and work in these countries as being this training that Senator Tabitha wants us to request NITA to infuse into our curriculum so that the many young men and women that go to work in the Middle East can have sufficient competence that also at a multilateral level, Mr. Speaker, we are able to enter into the necessary arrangements that will open up the job market for our young people, not just the manual jobs that many people are used to, but including skilled labor as well. And you remember that when you engage those Kenyans, they challenge us as the leaders in the country. And I'm glad that Senator Tabitha has remembered actually to follow through on the promise that we gave those Kenyans living in Dubai, that we shall ensure that we push NITA to introduce these exit courses. Many of them are not even to do with technical details, but just basic fine etiquette, cultural challenges that they'll face when they get to that part of the country, their rights, and very basic things which, for lack of which, Mr. Speaker, on many occasions, many Kenyans end up falling afoul of the law and are locked up or lose job opportunities. But even on the more serious front, Mr. Speaker, we cannot access some of the jobs that are available because Kenya has not signed the necessary bilaterals with this country because of this specific training, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, once you commit this to the committee, the relevant departmental committee to handle it, it is my sincere wish, Mr. Speaker, that they will expedite this and NITA will come and give a commitment before this House so that we know in the next few months, if there are amendments that they want us to do that will enforce and ensure that before Kenyans leave the country, they have undergone this training and that we can go back each time because we see the president visiting different parts of the world. And this is something that we can brandish and show them that our workers are actually fully prepared for the labor market in any part of the world, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, it is my most sincere hope that the departmental committee that you'll refer this matter to will demand of NITA that we complete on this exercise so that Ministry of Foreign Affairs can move ahead and do that which is necessary so that ordinary Kenyans can access job opportunities that are available, and their only missing ingredient actually is what Senator Tabitha is reminding us of. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ombo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to also input into this statement by Senator Tabitha. Speaker, a few minutes ago when I walked into the chamber, my colleague, Senator Sifuna, was very worried that I'm wearing green. He thought I am joining Ford Kenya. But I gave him the assurance that I'm in green today as an outward manifestation of the peace that we stand for in this House and outside the House. The Speaker, this statement by Senator Tabitha may sound a simple statement, but my thinking, Mr. Speaker, is that this should actually be the genesis of coming up with a legislation to not only safeguard the labor rights of our children and citizens working outside the country, but also to properly equip them as they go to take up jobs in other countries. Mr. Speaker, we must all appreciate that Kenya has become a major source market for cheap and semi-skilled labor, especially in the Emirates, in Saudi Arabia, and in the EU and the USA for semi-skilled labor, especially in home care services. The Speaker, the hundreds of thousands of young people that fly through JKIA to take up jobs outside the country is reason good enough for the National Industrial Training Authority to take the training of these immigrant workers a lot more seriously and train them, Mr. Speaker, even on some very basic things, like basic accounting, to know when it is that they are supposed to, once they get their paycheck, when they are supposed to exchange their money and when to hold and wait until the rates are better in the market for them to do the exchanges, for them to know their rights as workers outside this country, for them, Mr. Speaker, to also be able to contribute to the national economy back home while they work outside the country. Mr. Speaker, this training will be very, very necessary, and not just for the workers, but equally important for staff working in recruitment agencies in this country, so that as they prepare these workers, then they are properly equipped. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, it should be appreciated by all of us that for us, the export of cheap and semi-skilled labor in the areas in the countries where we export, for us, it is business as a country. And it's business that must bring returns both to the workers and to the economy of this country. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to associate myself with the comments of the honorable senators who have spoken before me. But, Mr. Speaker, there is an important key word that is missing in all the submissions. It is not general training, it is credibility of these trainings, Mr. Speaker, that this education committee must seek out. Why? Because, Mr. Speaker, from my experience in the courts, the agents who take our children, they don't give them the real requirements that are necessary for their successful execution of the duties that they are going to undertake in the foreign countries. Mr. Speaker, this statement, and I hope the Committee of Education captures the real thing, they must investigate the credibility of those certificates that are awarded here. The certificates, are they credible? Mr. Speaker, I am inviting the committee to ask information from the NIS, NSIS, from the DCI. And Mr. Speaker, why? Because there was a scandal, a big scandal, Mr. Speaker, that our children are given certificates through these agents. And when they go there, when these people call, they discover that, in fact, these particular person who is being employed never went through that course. They have no idea. Mr. Speaker, it is really tarnishing the image of our country as a great supplier of trained labor. So, Mr. Speaker, I am asking the Committee of Education to really go deep. They must get private information on what has been happening. I am aware, Mr. Speaker, that that scandal involved some people within that institution being arrested and prosecuted. And I'm sure the Honorable Senator Tabitha must have heard this because this happened here in Nairobi. So, Mr. Speaker, I am asking these people to go deep into it, not just to talk, to look at general standards and what. We must know electronic databases. If you say you are taking plumbers, we must have a proper database, proper qualification. When did this person go in? When did he come out? What were the grades? How long was the training? So that those, because electronics in most cases, they don't lie. They are less prone to human error. So, Mr. Speaker, I am praying that, like other senators have said, a proper report be brought here so that we can look at it and possibly legislation to be fashioned in such a way that we guard the dignity of the kind of labor force, the quality of labor force that Kenya is known for abroad. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Senators, we spent considerable time on this particular statement. We will move to the next. Senator Wamatinga Wahome. Senator Ledama, under Standing Order 51, we are only given under 1 hour to prosecute all the statements. If we spend more time on just one, we may not make any headway. Senator Wamatinga, proceed, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support this statement.
Senator Wamatinga.
Yes.
That has been closed.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm guided. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Yes, I do have a time, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to request on a statement on the acquisition of land in areas earmarked for national projects and disposing of exorbitant prices to the government. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek statement from the Standing Committee on RAD and Natural Resources on irregularities in land acquisition for dam construction projects. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide the list and particulars of parcels of land acquired by the National Land Commission for the purpose of the dam construction project since 2020, states the amount paid for them as compensation to the respective owners and indicating the market value of those parcels. 2, investigate and table the findings on the report of corruption and conspiracy between individuals, companies, and officials of the Ministry of Lands and Housing and Urban Development and the National Land Commission (NLC) to acquire land in anticipation of projects and dispose them to the government at exorbitant prices for these projects, thereby occasioning loss of money by the taxpayer. 3, state the action to be taken against those involved, including measures to surcharge them for the loss of the government, and 4, state measures being taken to promote awareness to committees whose land has been marked for the government projects from disposing their land to conspicuous, unscrupulous, and land speculators. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the statement by the distinguished senator from Kirinyaga. No, from Meru. Nyeri, from the chair of energy. Let me put it that way. This is a very important statement. It's a very important statement because so often we violate Article 68, C2 of the Constitution, which is supposed to regulate on how land moves from one use to another. And so often, Mr. Speaker, you'll find that even when land is acquired to be used for government projects, that land, the land use policy is never adhered to. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to request the committee that you'll task that report to do an analysis of all the land that has been acquired and whether the land use policy and whether Article 68 C2 of the Constitution was complied with. That is issue number one. Number two, Mr. Speaker, lest we forget that in most cases, all the scandals we get in this country relates to the land that is acquired for government projects. If history serves me right, Mr. Speaker, when land was being acquired along Milolongo and the landowners were paid money so that they make way for the expressway, and also when land was being acquired to be able to create that link, the link road to Runda, or rather to Gashie, and even this one for Kilimani, people were hiding documents and going to courts to be able to seek for more money. And you will find that a lot of people who work in the lands department were being complicit. So, Mr. Speaker, it will be important that the lands committee go to a greater extent in trying to identify what parcels of land have already been, earmarked to be used for land projects, for government projects. Because this business where people, when they know that the government is going to be doing a huge dump, they sell the land at exorbitant prices, it is really costing Kenyans and taxpayers a lot of money. So, Mr. Speaker, this statement is very, very important. And I hope that those issues that I've raised here can be included in that statement so that we can actually be able, on an every year basis, we can be able to know how much money is the Ministry of Land going to use to be able to acquire land for government projects. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also arise to support the statement by the Senator Nyeri. Mr. Speaker, construction of dams in our country helps to avail water to our citizens. But a lot of these dams, Mr. Speaker, have actually been frustrated because of a number of factors. In my practice of law, Mr. Speaker, I have had cases where there is conflict between the citizens and the government because of compensation. So that, Mr. Speaker, there is no public participation between the relevant ministry and the public. Because, Mr. Speaker, you talk of a situation where people have to surrender their portions of land for the dams to be done. And for them to surrender their pieces of land, they should be compensated. So the process of compensation is another issue which I want this committee to look into. So that, Mr. Speaker, the value for the land should be given to the owners of the land in terms of the real value. Sometimes there is undervalue. And sometimes, Mr. Speaker, there is overvaluing of the land. So that a piece of land that's supposed to be $1 million per acre can actually even go for $3 million per acre because of certain considerations and certain understandings between officials of Ministry of Lands and the Ministry of Roads and so on. So that is another area which I want the committee to look into, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you go to the National Land Commission today, and you look at the pending bills on unpaid claims, where certificates have been issued by the Commission, it is in billions, Mr. Speaker. And one wonders why, because once a government has decided to either build a road or a dam, they allocate the money for that particular purpose. Money for the dam itself to be constructed and money for compensation. So, Mr. Speaker, you wonder then how come we have huge bills in terms of unpaid bills in the National Land Commission? And the owners of that pieces of land are subjected to a lot of suffering, and they are told to go to Treasury and look for the pending bills to be paid. So it is another area, Mr. Speaker, I want the committee, and I'm a member of this committee, and my chair is here. We need to interrogate also that issue. How come money set aside for either compensation or for the dams end up not being available to the owners of these pieces of land? So, Mr. Speaker, it's a very important statement, and I want to agree that this House should be able to rise up through the committee and ensure that citizens who have suffered because of non-payment of the money for compensation or for their pieces of land should be able to be compensated accordingly. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Muma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support and to contribute to that statement. Mr. Speaker, I think beyond the issue of speculation on land for infrastructure development, I think that committee needs to look at the issue of social risk management in infrastructure development in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, beyond just the compensation of land, we have had a lot of community and government conflict over a number of projects that have had to be stopped because communities rose and objected to those projects proceeding for one reason or other. And as Senior Cheptumo says, this goes to the issue of public participation. Oftentimes, we have had no public participation where a location is identified for development and the communities are not consulted, and we end up with a conflict. Maybe the piece of land that is being picked is even sentimental, has cultural value, has religious value, and we have not taken this issue seriously. Mr. Speaker, beyond this, I am recommending that that committee looks at the issues of social risk management in infrastructure development in Kenya so that we can develop a policy that can guide on reasonable compensation as well as looking at other social risks to development projects. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next statement, Senator James Murango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.